Hello everybody, and welcome to the weekly countdown of the top 10 best-selling light novels in Japan. This is going to be for the week of February to March 4th of 2018. Hello everybody, Justus R. Stone here with your weekly countdown of the top 10 best-selling light novels in Japan. Like I said, this is going to cover February to March 4th of 2018. We've got a couple of new titles on the list this week, but not a whole lot of movement up near the top of the list. So let's get right into it. At number 10 with 6,442 copies sold, it's a brand new title, and that is Mahoutsukai de Hikikomori, also known as Shut-In Magician. Now, this has been a web novel previously, so this is now a web novel, another one that's been licensed for publication. This is its official first release. And Oji-san was reincarnated thanks to a kind goddess. He wished for a healthy body. However, for some reason, he received the cheat ability to use powerful magic instead. Even so, he rarely used the ability. When he, Shiu, turned 11, the goddess appeared and informed him, "Become an adventurer and enjoy life." He went to the royal capital in order to become an adventurer. On his way there, he met a beast mount, Ferris, who became his pet. From there, he began his new life. Shiu's world broadened little by little as he took on requests at the guild and interacted with different people at the royal capital. Shiu, the boy with a truly powerful ability, starts his easy-going life in a fluffy, different world. I think fluffy is supposed to refer to the beast that he makes his pet. I don't know if that's supposed to be the selling point of this series, is the fluffy? Like, wow, is this a furries title? Let's hope not. Anyway, so like I said, this one is originally a web novel. That's actually where this description comes from. Novelupdates.com, I guess, had somebody did an entry for the web novel itself. So that's why it's hitting the top 10 list. So I guess it's somewhat popular on the web novel sites. And, but it sounds, I'm not too sure if it's like a pure isekai or whether it's like one of those things where it's somebody who dies in their own world and then is reincarnated. I'm not too sure how that works, but once again, it's a goddess gives you great powers for your next life kind of story. At number 9, with 6,847 copies sold, we have volume number 9 of Izakaya Bottakuri. This is Izakaya Rolling, is the English translation roughly. Not much information on this series. When volume number 8 was on the top 10, one of my viewers, Viridian, said that it's a bunch of short stories of two sisters taking over a bar after their parents pass away. Its main draw is the whole fluffy, sort of drinking family life with food. But there's also parts in later volumes dealing with stuff like the indoor smoking ban that Japan had been considering, dealing with bad online reviews, customer worried about care for their elderly parents, etc. So very much a slice of life type thing, just revolving around, I guess, this bar, and the two sisters are sort of the main characters and kind of provide some continuity between the stories. It's just all the individuals that come into the bar. Reminds me a little bit, I can't remember what it's called. My wife watched this live action drama series from Japan, and the whole series was just basically this woman who worked in a company and the different restaurants that she went to eat in and the different people that she encountered and stuff like that. It was actually, it seemed like it was more like done by the Japanese tourism board, because at the end of every episode it gave you the address of the restaurant that she ate at, but whatever. It was cute anyway. At number 8, with 6,849 copies sold, volume number 28 of Rokujouma no Shinryakusha, also known as Invaders of the Rokujouma. This one is licensed for English release by J-Novel Club. They've released up until volume number 10 that you can purchase ebook-wise. Now, on their website, where they sort of release things in installments, they had been releasing the later installments. It's sort of a weird story with Rokujouma. Basically, they hired the guy who was doing the fan translations, and what they did was they just cleaned up his translations. But what they did was, for the website, they just kept going from where he left off of his fan translations, and then they cleaned up his translations to release as the ebooks. So kind of an interesting and slightly weird kind of situation, but nonetheless, if you've been a fan of the series, apparently it works very well. There was a 12-episode anime, which is available on Crunchyroll. It was licensed by Sentai Filmworks. Covered volumes 1 to 6 and part of volume number 7. At least that's according to the web. I've only read the first volume. Kind of a cute, sort of, really goes all over the place type harem story, but unfortunately with J-Novel Club pumping these out one a month, I've fallen horribly, horribly behind. Just starting high school, Kotaro is moving out on his own to take some of the burden off of his widower father. Lucky for him, he's found a room at Corona House. It has a great landlord, it's not too far from school, and best of all, it's dirt cheap. It really is perfect, except for the strange girls that keep appearing to try and take it over. But even as room 106 turns into a battlefield, Kotaro isn't willing to give up his apartment without a good fight. The invasion begins. At number 7, with 6,924 copies sold, it is Retsujou Koizuki no Yukue. From what I can see, it's Fascination Love Moon's Way. This is a B-boy novels, which, well, these are boy love novels, really. Like, that's what they are. They're a boy love novel. Roughly, basically, this one sounds like it's kind of like a werewolf boy love novel about people embroiled in, like the really horrible sort of Google translation was people seeking a mistake of destiny, the highest dangerous eros of the wolves. Popular estrus series. So I guess the series is called Estrus? I'm not too sure. A witness of a wolf who has embraced the man's mouth by his childhood friend, as if floating in the heat of estrus. However, with a certain incident, Michiru turns into a white wolf. Michiru, who was supposed to be a normal human, was actually a wolf. Michiru loses his memory and reason before Mr. Nozomi, which is surprised, but he's moved by being driven by the instinct of a human wolf. Furthermore, Oguini, who protects people in wolf clans from ancient times, has problems as a dangerous molecule that can control transformation abilities. I will not let you kill. Even if I change it, I will absolutely protect you, because you are the only one for me. At number 6, with 7,197 copies sold, it is volume number 6 of Himajin Maou no Sugata de Isekai, also known as Bored, Sacred, and Now a Devil. This one has no English license for the light novel or the manga, which apparently has a manga spin-off. Funny enough, with 6 volumes, there's not a lot of information on it. It looks like somebody, like honestly, the text looked kind of, did they say it was Croatian or Slavic or whatever? But somebody in a non-English language is kind of translating the manga, but I couldn't get much more. So, the day when the grandiose online game Grandia Seed ceased service, Yoshijo, who alone defeated the main boss and received cheat-grade abilities, wakes up in an unfamiliar place. He realizes he is in the form of his own character, Keivon, wearing equipment that causes him to be mistaken as a devil. Then, Yoshiro's second character, a beautiful elf named Ruie, appeared before him. Naturally, he's puzzled, but decides to stay with her as Keivon. But gradually he becomes aware, I am being handed down as a mythological hero in this world. Keivan, with the ability of single boss capture cheat classes, crashes through the world in the form of the Demon King. Sounds a little bit like How Not to Summon a Demon Lord, honestly. Character who gets pulled into a game, and his character looks like a devil. Everyone thinks he's a Demon King. He's OP. Yeah, sounds very much like it. Just kind of like, the only twist being that the first harem girl is his alt avatar. That's kind of strange, but, well, who knows. Maybe something interesting could come of that, but it sounds like a pretty much by-the-numbers kind of thing that we probably won't get in English because we've already got a bunch just like it. At number 5, with 8,607 copies sold, volume number 9 of Imouto Sai Ireba, A Sister's All You Need. This one we talked about last week, obviously, licensed for release in English by Yen On. The first volume's coming out in May of 2018. There is a 12-episode anime, which you can stream on Crunchyroll. Darn it, somebody did tell me how many volumes it covered on the video last week, and I didn't include that in my notes. I'll have to fix that. I think I want to say they said it was the first 3 volumes. Again, I do apologize. I'll try and look it up and on last week's video, and I'll leave it down in the notes below. And this, of course, is about a light novelist who has a bevy of females of all different types and characters all around him. And it's, you know what, like, apparently the anime played up some of his imaginings about little sisters, which gave some very awkward kind of scenes, but ultimately, apparently, the story is much more of a slice of life and, you know, people trying to learn to basically function as adults and stuff like that. Heard from quite a number of you that, like, you hung in there past the sort of shock value of the opening and that it actually turned out to be a pretty good series. So, fingers crossed that I'll feel the same way when the light novel comes out, because I'll be reading that in May. At number 4, with 10,897 copies sold, Kusuriya no Hitorigoto, volume number 7. This translates to The Pharmacist's Monologue. There is no English license for this. There is a certain large country in the central plains of the mainland. In the imperial court of its emperor there is a girl. Her name is Maou, a pharmacist from the prostitution quarter, currently working as a maidservant in the inner palace. The girl, surely not considered a beauty, is keeping a low profile, waiting for her contract to end. She was confident that she would not be made a chosen mistress of the emperor. During that, she learned about the short lives of the children of the emperor. Maou, hearing that the 2 surviving children are critically ill, begins to investigate the case. Set in the Middle Ages of the East, the food taster girl continues to solve difficult cases in the imperial court, one after another. This one sounds cool to me. It's quite different. So, I mean, I'm kind of interested to see. So it's a female protagonist. It's a historical piece. And it sounds like, you know, it's a mystery, like she solves mysteries. I'm kind of interested, though, like how women would have been treated in that time period and whether that plays out in terms of her trying to solve these cases, or if it's just kind of brushed under the carpet and that is sort of ignored. I don't know, but I kind of like this whole idea of, like, you know, sort of a alt historical fiction mystery series. It sounds kind of cool, actually. If it was pulled off really, really well and, like, the author does a ton of research and stuff, it could be very, very interesting. But I don't know. And honestly, I don't know if this is the kind of title, like, you know, as much as many of us complain about the large number of isekai titles that we get in English, they do sell, apparently. And I mean, you know, taking a look at when people talk about survey results, like Sam at J Novel Club was saying, like, isekai hands down beat any other genre in terms of people saying that it was their favorite. So unfortunately, right now, that seems to be where our market is at. That may change, and it would be really cool if it does to see titles like this, because it's something really different, which would be, a lot of fun, I think. So I said that the top of the list didn't have a lot of change, and, I kind of meant it. So number 3, with 12,237 copies sold, we have volume number 13 of the regular edition of Is It Wrong to Try to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon? Now, of course, this one we do have licensed in English. We're actually not that far behind. We have volume number 10 already released. Volume 11 is coming in April from Yen On. There is a 13-episode anime which covered volumes 1 to 5, which is streaming on Crunchyroll. They have recently announced that there's going to be a new movie, which, as far as I know, the movie is a standalone story. It's not actually adapting anything from the light novels. And then after the movie, they're doing a second season. So it'll be interesting to see where that second season goes. The first season, a lot of people complain, myself included, because I've read all the books and watched the anime. The anime compressed way too much. They compressed 5 volumes into those 13 episodes, and it cut out a lot of like the more character and world building elements that make the light novel work so well. And given how intense the volumes after volume 5 get to be, I just don't see how they're going to be able to really squash that down again. Although that said, I mean, volume 11 is where the sort of next major arc ends. So yeah, I don't know what they're going to do. My guess would be they'll do less volumes. I think they will do volumes 6, 7, and 8. I think they'll try and stretch it for those 3 volumes because, of course, volumes 9, 10, and 11 are an arc, and I just can't see them squashing 6 volumes into like a 12 or 13 episode season. At least I'm really hoping not, because I really think that'll butcher the stories way, way too much. At number 2, with 15,564 copies sold, volume number 5 of Sword Art Online Progressive. This one's been on the list, and very high on the list for several weeks now. Not really a big surprise. Sword Art constantly does well, as much as many people will bemoan why. It's just a fact, man. This series just keeps on doing well and keeps on going. Volume number 5 and volume number 6 apparently are a 2-part story. Volume 6 is supposedly coming out in May, which is probably the fastest time that 2 volumes have been released back to back. There's usually almost a year, if not more than that, between releases. Really hoping that, Kawahara picks up the pace on this series, because apparently they're not even past floor 5 and he's got 70 more to go. Like, nobody's going to live to read the end of this. Kawahara is not going to live long enough to tell it if he keeps up this pace. So we'll see what happens. This one we do have in English from Yen On once again. Of course, they've licensed all of the Sword Art Online novels. In fact, they've even licensed the spin-off Gun Gale Online light novel, which will be coming out shortly, well, in a couple months, I guess. We've already caught up. We've got volumes 1 to 4 in English. I imagine volume 5 we probably won't get for at least a couple more months, just given how the whole physical publishing industry works, but we will get it relatively soon. So that, of course, brings us to number 1, which, again, probably not too shocking, with 38,402 copies sold, volume 10 of No Game, No Life. Of course, this one we do have in English from Yen On. They've released 6 volumes so far. Volume number 7 has been delayed more times than I care to think about. Supposedly, we're going to be getting volume number 5 in June. Sorry, volume 7 in June. That's the story. I'll believe it when it's in my hand. There is a 12-episode anime which covered volumes 1 to 3. And there was recently a movie released last year which adapted volume number 6, which is a prequel story. I highly recommend No Game, No Life 0, which is the movie. It was really, really well done. And volume number 6, which it's based on, is by far the best of the novel series that I have read so far, and most of you have agreed that it's probably the high point of the series at this point, who have been able to read beyond. So that's where we're at with No Game, No Life. It's going to be, well, we're going to see what happens with volume number 7. Fingers crossed that Yen On finally gets themselves back on track for releases. This week, I'd like to say a very special thanks to Ki Duang Gayen, Ola Oje the Bull, and Jean-Luc Chartier, and all the rest of my patrons on Patreon for their continuing support of this channel and for helping me to continue forward with other projects such as the upcoming light novel podcast. So those are your top 10 best-selling light novels in Japan for the week of February to March the 4th, 2018. Did a little different with this video. First one, I'm going to put the intro on. I'm also using a different microphone to try and give a little bit more depth to my voice. The lapel, it's not bad, but I find that it makes my voice sound very dead, so I'm trying this. Let me know your thoughts about both of those things in the comments down below. So if you love light novels, you should consider subscribing. I do this countdown every week, as well as doing 2 to 3 light novel reviews on a weekly basis as well. Thank you so much for joining me in this video, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. Till then, bye-bye for now.